Hi, I'm Father Jim Forson, and I'd like to offer you a few reflections on the gospel of this 26th Sunday in Ordinary Time. You know, at the time of Jesus, the Romans and the Greeks, as we probably all know, worshipped gods. They had the gods like Apollo or Zeus or Aphrodite or Diana, and they had temples built to them, and they worshipped them and sacrificed animals to them and so forth. When we look at that, don't we see that as just being so primitive? This idea of these idol worship? Aren't you glad that we don't have any of that in our day, that we don't worship any false idols at all? Like this baby right here? In one way, I think these phones of ours have become our modern day idols, and we worship at their altar. I mean, we can't leave the house without one of these things. And as Jesus one time said, you know, where your heart is, that's where your treasure is. And I guess the same thing can be said about where our time is where our treasure is. And this stupid phone will tell me every week how much time I spend looking at it. And if I forget it in the house, I got to drive back and get it. I can't be without my phone. And when I drive away, my phone will tell me, oh, you left your iPad back at home. My God, if that isn't a false idol, I don't know what is. So, maybe I won't sneer at those Romans and Greeks anymore. We all have our false idols. And that's what Jesus is talking about in the gospel today. Not the false idols of the Romans and the Greeks, but the false idols we all carry within our hearts. And he's warning his people. Jesus in this gospel is Jesus the prophet. And the prophet isn't just talking about far off events yet to arrive. The prophet talks about the sin or the wickedness that is present in the here and the now. And that is what Jesus is saying. And he's telling his people, what is it in the here and the now that's getting in the way of you being a good disciple, or that's getting in the way of you being the true person that you are? And he uses wild, extreme examples, saying, you know, if your eye is a cause of sin, pluck it out and throw it away. Or if your hand or your foot, better to cut them off and throw them away and go through life as a cripple than enter into the fires of Gehenna with your eyes and your feet and your hand. And he's using those extreme examples not because he wants to have crippled, blind followers. No, obviously not. He's using hyperbole, exaggeration to bring home his gospel and what he is trying to tell people. And he is saying, is there something in your life that you're clinging to, that you just can't imagine living without, that is getting in the way of you living the true life that God has given to you, getting in the way of you living the life of a disciple? And the answer is, yeah, of course. All of us have our false idols. We all do. And we don't have to look any further than that phone and the social media apps that we have on it. Do you think that people treat that as all the social media apps as false idols? Yeah, of course they do. I was reading this story about these two well-known celebrities who were at a Super Bowl, and they were in a private booth, a private room for watching the Super Bowl, and they both are well followed. I don't know what they had, 2 million followers apiece, and the one person was tweeting out how excited they were that their team was winning. And the other person was doing the same. But one person had 10,000 retweets, and the other person only had 4,000 retweets, and they got mad. They got upset because the other person had more than they did. And so here they were in a private suite at a Super Bowl game, and they got up and walked out. You think to yourself, are you nuts? You're in a private suite watching the Super Bowl. Are you crazy? No, he was just busy worshiping idols. He wasn't getting the kind of popularity, the kind of response, the kind of worship that he was expecting. Do you think that he had a sense of a false idol in his heart? Oh yeah, you bet he did. Why is it that some of our teenagers are so worried about whether they're being followed or not on the internet, on the social media apps, or if they're liked? And all of that, oh my gosh, it's just feeding this sense of, I need to be worshiped, I need to be followed, I need to be noticed, I need fame. And I think that's the false idol that's out there. And along with that false idol of greed, of money, of prestige, all of those are present within our society. And we all can worship at their altars. So the question really for all of us is, what is your false idol? What is it, that false god that we worship? It isn't, do I have one? It's, which one is it? And Jesus the prophet is calling us today to find that false god and throw it away, to get rid of it. And that can be so hard to do. Could you imagine? I mean, forget trying to get rid of your phone. Just try to live without your phone for a day. One day with no screens. Oh my God, that would be hard to do. It's hard to let go of our idols. It's hard to let go of that thing I have been spending my life trying to grasp, the better job, the better house, the better clothes, the more glamorous life. Hard to let go of that. But happily, Jesus is not just a prophet. He's also a pastor. And as we sit down with him, Jesus, the prophet, may hold a mirror up to us to show us the idol that we have, but Jesus, the pastor, puts an arm around us and says, I'm walking with you through this dark valley. You will not be alone. And so today, we take to heart that commandment. I am the Lord your God. You will have no false gods before me. And having heard that commandment, we then turn to Jesus the pastor and we say to him, Jesus, I can't do this alone. Come, Lord Jesus, walk with me.